Morning, folks. Everything new under the sun. Well, we're looking at the Bible. We're looking at Luke 21. This is speaking of famines and pestilences. This sets up the who story that we're going to look at. So in Luke 21, this is from the KJV, in verse 7, it says, "And they asked him, saying, Master, when shall these things be?" So they're asking Jesus, when will the end times be? When will these things come? And what will be the signs? And what will there be when these things come? What sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. And the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars, rumors of wars, and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. So the end is not yet. Excuse me, these things are going to come to pass. And this, again, agrees with my comment that we have about 10 years before the end of the year, 6,000 years of man, about 3 years before the 7-year tribulation. So we're hearing of wars and commotions right now. Then he said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation. That's what's happening right now. Kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places. You think of Hawaii. You think of the ring of fire, earthquakes all around, and famines, and pestilences. Pestilences is what we're going to look at in this video. And fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. The fearful, and I think these are in chronological order. So the first thing we're going to see is nation rising against nation. We've seen that in recent history. Great earthquakes are going to start coming, then famines, then pestilences are going to increase. And in a kind of a chronological order, these are the things that are going to happen. And so, after you get to all the pestilences, then fearful sights and great signs from heaven. I think we're going to start seeing great signs from heaven in these last days. We're in the last days. We're probably about 3 years out from the 7th tribulation. About 10 years out from the second coming of the Lord, where he sets his feet on the Mount of Olives. And the great earthquake happens at that time, and the Mount of Olives splits in two. Again, this is Luke 21. So looking at this is shtfplan.com, who prepares for worst case as Congo Ebola outbreak spreads. Well, in the recent week, we noted the new outbreak of Ebola, and I haven't reported on this myself yet, but this has been happening, and it's been gaining speed and momentum. New outbreak of Ebola in the Congo. The number of cases has risen by 50%. The World Health Organization has now said it's preparing for the worst case scenario. You can see effectively the transmission path. You start from Ebola in Africa there, and you can see how it just jumps everywhere else because all the air travel these days, it jumps very rapidly everywhere else. And we had a big scare a couple of years ago, I guess it was now, and this is coming down the pipe again. The WHO has tallied 32 suspected or confirmed cases in the northeastern area of Bikoro on the shores of Lake Tumbath near the border with the Republic of Congo, including 18 deaths between April 4th and 9th. There's Bikoro there in the map in the Congo. The outbreak declared by the DRC Health Ministry on Tuesday is the DRC's ninth known outbreak of Ebola since '76. When the deadly viral disease was first identified in the Zaire by the Belgian-led team. The scientists are greatly concerned that this outbreak in remote Bikoro region will travel 175 miles to the city of Bandaka, the capital of Equator province, and home to 1.2 million residents. If that happens, that's bad, obviously. Here's an updated map. Turns out the provincial capital of Equator, Mandaka, is home to roughly 1 million people. This is a tweet by Helen Branswell. It's less than 300 kilometers or 175 miles from Bikoro and reachable by water. So the transmission to that 1.2 million population city is, it's going to happen. What's worrisome is the most recent WHO update says that there are 2 probable cases in Wangara, which is very close to Bandaka. So there you go. It's getting closer already. Helen Branswell says, this gives me pause. WHO's latest update says 2 probable cases in Wangara, which is adjacent to the provincial capital. Peter Salmon, head of emergency response of the WHO, said, if we see a town of that size infected with Ebola, then we are going to have a major urban outbreak. We are concerned. We're very concerned. We are planning for all scenarios, including the worst case scenario. And this is significant. This is a big deal. This is coming, I think, to the world. This is going to be one of the end time pestilences. It's gearing up to be, at least. The WHO is planning to send up to 40 specialists to the affected area over the next week or so. So again, it goes on. I'll put the link in the description. You can check it out. They're carrying the dead out. I mean, this is a very, very spreadable, infectious disease. Ebola is a hemorrhagic fever, and it killed at least 11,000 across the world after it decimated West Africa and spread rapidly over the space of 2 years. The pandemic was officially declared over in January 2016, so that was 2 years ago, when Liberia announced it was Ebola-free. The country, rocked by back-to-back civil wars in the 2003, was hit the hardest by the fever, with 40% of the deaths having occurred there. So this is a huge deal, and I think that this is part of the Luke 21 bunch of predictions by Jesus. Then he said unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and the great earthquake shall be in diverse places. We see those volcanic eruptions and these earthquakes happening around the ring of fire. And famines, pestilences, and so that's pestilences plural. So there's going to be multiple, not just Ebola, but a whole bunch of other Zika virus and other things coming out. And fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. Be prepared. The Lord's coming back soon, and we are seeing these things coming. The birth pains are increasing. We've seen this before, but we're going to see it increase. We're going to see it increase in frequency. It's going to happen more often, and intensity, the result of which is going to be killing more and more people each time these things come to pass. So we saw Ebola 2 years ago. This could turn out to be a greater frequency and intensity outbreak of Ebola. We've seen volcanic eruptions and earthquakes happen in the past, but they are continuing to occur, and they're going to happen with greater frequency and intensity. Jesus is coming soon. Do you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? You need to get your heart right with God, because we have limited time. I suspect we only have 10 years left at most. That's what I'm guessing. Check out my last Sunday broadcast, the timeline of the return of the Lord, the timeline of the end. And you can see where I get my numbers from, at least. And there's other authors, other end-time Bible prophecy speakers who suggest similar date ranges effectively. So the Lord's coming back soon, guys. Get ready. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.